Hello, in this video I have a game to show you in my Kamikaze R, and well, if you know, or if you've seen my other videos on the Kamikaze R, you would know that I've put the torpedo acceleration skill on the captain of the ship. Well, actually I've put it on the captain of my Mutsuki, which I'm then training up on the Kamikaze R. The downside of that is it actually makes the Kamikaze R a very average ship to play. Basically, that skill reduces your torpedo range quite significantly, and on the Kamikaze R it drops down to 5.4 kilometers, when the detection range of the ship is 6 kilometers, which means that you can't do stealth torpedo attacks, which is really the main weapon of the low-tier Japanese destroyers. Well, actually all Japanese destroyers, but the low-tier ones in particular. So in the Kamikaze, most of my games I tend to get maybe a dozen shots on target in a torpedo if I'm lucky, and then I die. But hopefully I've captured a base or two, or done some good scouting for my team. But generally I get lots of pretty average games in this ship. This one is one of the few games where things, well, they don't go average for me, they actually go pretty well. See here, I was heading into A to contest it for my team. I actually got there very late because I didn't realise I'd put my ship on 3/4 speed. So as you see right now I'm going 28.2 knots when the full speed of the ship is 37. I will spot that pretty soon and I'll accelerate into the cap circle, but not in time to prevent the enemy from capturing it. Which is a bad start to the game. As I said, in the Kamikaze, most constructive things I'm doing are capturing the bases and occasionally defending them, so not being able to get here in time to defend this base is actually a pretty big loss for me in terms of my potential experience, at least if this were an average game. But the enemy's captured A. I figured I'd go in anyway just to see what's here and scout it for my team, and we see a Gnevny, which is also a tier 5 destroyer. It's a pretty powerful one. It can definitely beat me in a gunfight. Luckily it decides not to shoot at me and instead put its smoke screen on and start running away. Unfortunately, even though I fired 2 full broadsides at it, I didn't get any hits. And now the enemy must know I'm here. But that's okay, I've got 2 cruisers and a battleship backing me up, and more look like they're on the way, although they might be thing to be. So I'm not exactly isolated, and it is a good opportunity to spot for my team. And here come an Atlanta, which is a very dangerous light cruiser, and a New York, and behind the New York's a Fuso, and 2 battleships are still pretty good targets. I can't do stealth attacks on them, but my torpedoes on the Kamikaze are very fast. So if I get within 4 kilometers or so of them, they're going to have, well, they're basically not going to be able to dodge my torpedoes. But still they are a little way away. I decide to sneak around the side of the island here, hopefully spot the Gnevny for the cruisers behind me. I'd seen the smoke screen kind of creeping around the side of the island, so I thought maybe it was going to try and sneak around or pull back on this side. But it's not the case, it's actually on the other side of the island. And it's kind of going to push up pretty aggressively here, and unfortunately my guns are pointing the wrong way. And even though these turrets turn pretty fast for a Japanese destroyer, it's still painfully slow. So while I'm waiting for my guns to bring around, I decide to fire off some speculative torpedoes. Just 4 of them, I decided to save 2 in case this comes down to a close range engagement. And fire my first shot, and then I'm bringing my ship around to get my forward guns on target. Send 3 more its way, but it sends 4 my way. And it takes out my engine, I take out its engine, we both fix our engines. It does more damage to me, but I get to fire a full broadside off, and finish it off after one of my torpedoes gets lucky. So that was my first kill and my first devastating strike. Oh, and the Gnevny fired torpedoes at me, but of course it's got useless torpedoes, so they don't even reach me. But I've got to be happy with that. Managed to sink a tier 5 destroyer, but I lost 1/3 of my hit points doing it. So not ideal, but probably still worth it in the end. Although of course if I hadn't have gone lucky with my torpedo there, that would have been a very different engagement, even with this battleship and cruisers backing me up. So now the Atlanta is hiding behind the island and firing away at my cruisers off to the right there. So I was thinking about coming around and having a shot at the Fuso here. Fuso is just coming within my maximum torpedo range. Just now, so these torpedoes are fired at my maximum range. I'm pulling away. The Fuso spots me, but I'm only going to be in a risky spot for a few seconds. Thought about firing my guns here, decided against it. I'd rather just get undetected as quickly as possible. But it seems like the Fuso didn't register that I was there at all and doesn't make any effort to dodge these torpedoes. And, well, there's 6 hits, and my second kill, and my second devastating strike. So, now what to do? Basically, I'm thinking this Atlanta is going to be a problem for my team. So I decide that I can come around the island at close range, basically just drop my torpedoes into it, and hopefully it'll be looking the other way so it won't be able to fire back at me quickly. And I decided to give it a go. It's very risky though. The Atlanta is a very dangerous ship if you're in a destroyer, especially at close ranges. So we're coming around the island, and we're spotted. There's the Atlanta. I decide that it's going to probably try and accelerate once it sees me here to dodge my torpedoes, so I aim slightly ahead of it. And that was a mistake. The Atlanta just sits there and slowly swings its guns around onto me while all my torpedoes go sailing straight past it. They come very close, but they don't hit it. And actually the Atlanta put itself into reverse, so aiming in front of it was the opposite of what I really wanted to do there. And it's taken out my engine. I fix it, but still taking a lot of damage here. Down to less than 2,000 hit points, but I managed to get the island between myself and the Atlanta, so I get to live for now. And when my torpedoes are back reloaded, I decided to just send some of that to Atlanta. Didn't really think it would keep reversing out around the side of the island in front of this Omaha. And yet for some reason this Omaha is firing directly at the Atlanta, even though there's an island in the way, but I'm not sure. Wondering if that was a bot or just an odd kind of person. We made 4 torpedoes out at the Atlanta. The second 2 prove unnecessary because it does continue reversing. And my third kill and my third devastating strike. So this game's kind of opposite of usual. Usually I get around a dozen hits with my guns and maybe 1 torpedo hit. This time I've got 1 hit with my guns and 10 torpedo hits. Which is a bit odd, but I see it's actually a very effective way of doing things. The Kamikaze R has very powerful torpedoes and kind of weak guns. So we're capturing A at the moment. There are only 2 enemy ships left in this region. They are both Congo class battleships and they're hiding way down the back here. Basically, I'm thinking I can do stealth attacks on these ships because they're both quite fast if they're coming directly at me. Well, not really directly at me, but if they're heading towards me in some capacity, and at the moment this Congo off to the left here is. So if I can close the distance down to about 6.5 kilometers, there'd be a decent chance I could fire my torpedoes and it's going to sail into them before my torpedoes arrive. But unfortunately it starts turning sideways onto me, which means that's not going to happen. But the other Congo has started turning towards me, and I'm going to be able to pull off an attack like that on this one, I think. I've just got to get very close to my detection range to do it. You see, I'm rushing over to try and intercept it because I want it to basically be coming straight at me, or at least as close to straight at me as I can. And 7 kilometers, we're getting close to firing our torpedoes. 6.5, so there we go. Really should have been turning my ship away at this point, but did it a bit late and I do get spotted. And put my smoke screen up. The Congo returns fire at me, but unfortunately for me it misses. And I also get very lucky here. The Congo turned away to dodge my torpedoes, then changed its mind and turned into them. And between the 2 of them, it kind of cancelled each other out. I decided since I'm in the smoke screen I can afford to fire a broadside at it, but I don't get any hits, and, well, as I said, I was a bit lucky there, but I got 1 torpedo on target, and that will do a bit of damage, and it would also force it to use its repairability since it started flooding. And basically I make well, a bit of a miscalculation here. I thought that Congo would turn back north to put pressure on our cap and the battleship behind me. I didn't think it would come into the smoke to try and fight me. So instead I turned south to try and engage this Congo coming up behind it, hoping to use the smoke screen to protect myself from the first Congo. But instead it's done the exact opposite thing. It's head south to put some distance between itself and me, so I dump my torpedoes as quickly as I can and turn away. Unfortunately, I've used my smoke screen, so I'm just going to have to rely on dodging shots here to stay alive. And again, the Congo turns away, but at this kind of range, it doesn't have a lot of time to avoid my torpedoes, and it's not the most manoeuvrable ship. I was actually more concerned that it was going to get away fast enough that it was actually going to outrun my torpedoes. But it doesn't happen, and I get two hits. It actually looked like some of them failed to hit because they ran out of fuel, or they've reached their maximum range, but still 2 hits is pretty alright considering that was just basically a panic dumping of torpedoes. But back to this other Congo, the one that's been heading north the whole time and that I can actually launch a stealth attack if I'm careful. But again, I'm not careful and I get spotted, but got my torpedoes in the water and hopefully nothing will come of it. And actually that's, well, the rearmost Congo that I torpedoed earlier is still flooding. So that's good, there's a good chance I'm going to get it. I get the high colour medal, but my teammate finishes off that Congo. And this one's made no effort to dodge my torpedoes even though it did spot me. So there is 5 more hits, and that was the game. And no result screens for this one because I think I must have forgotten to screenshot them, but you can kind of get a feel for that. So I got 17 torpedo hits, 4 kills, almost got a 5th kill if that other Congo had flooded to death. And I mean, even that last torpedo strike did 40,000 damage, so you'd have to assume I've done 100,000 damage at least in this game. So, all in all, a pretty good result, and it just shows you that every once in a while, even with kind of an average ship, which the Kamikaze R is because of the captain skills I've taken, you can still just have everything go right for you, and you can actually have a pretty awesome game. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.